Like, yeah, that's pretty fun.
Well, and it's amazing as they go from that to high school, just
I know.
just in a blank. I look at my daughters now and they've got multiple kids all over and I'm like, man. Yeah,
It's fun.
yep. So yeah, if I glance down occasionally, it's because I'm glancing at scores coming in and
Let me catch my breath. Just a second.
we started.
No, not yet.
I just thought I might have been getting recorded there. Oh, well,
No.
so be it.
Yes. Are you ready? Okay.
Good evening. The February 8th, 2024 Whatcom County Planning Commission meeting is called to order. I'll call the roll. Sheldon Barton, that's me. I'm here. Daniel Dahlquist.
Here.
Jewel Deshmani.
Here.
Jim Henson.
Here.
Stephen Jackson.
Here.
Julie Jefferson. Julie Jefferson. Frank James. Frank James. Dominic Masseri.
Here,
Scott Van Dalen.
here.
Thank you. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's time for department update. Assistant Planning Director Steve Robert, will you give us an update?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to share with you a few things that are going on with the department. We've been down our natural resource manager now for several months and we've hired a new one. He begins next Monday, so we're really excited to have that position filled. We're also we've also filled critical areas reviewer. So this is something that's a well-in streams, those types of things. And that person will start the following week. So we're excited to have those two positions filled. There are two positions that the department has that have been approved that are currently unfilled that we're preparing to get out. One of them is a conservation easement program planner. So that would augment that program. And then the other one is a communications position that we're still developing the job description for. So that position is also going to see fairly soon. Things that you have coming up on your agenda. Propane, we talked about propane at our last meeting. We're hoping to get that onto your next meeting. Things are really tight. There's some conversations going on with the proponent and some of the other folks that were at your last meeting. Those conversations are ongoing. We're meeting with those folks next week. And we hope that we'll be able to get that all put together for you and find some solutions that we discussed at your last meeting. We're able to find some of those and get those to you in time for your next meeting. If we don't have that stuff ready to go out to you guys by next Friday, because your next meeting is in 2 weeks from tonight, then we will cancel that meeting and push all that to the following. But we're hoping, we have expectation and hope that we're going to make that meeting for your next meeting. With the other things you have coming up, we'll talk a little bit more about this here in a few minutes. We're going to be bringing to you an update to the capital improvement plan, the CIP. We'll also be talking about some comp plan things soon. And again, we'll talk about these in more detail here in a few minutes, but in the next few months, you'll be seeing public participation plan. We'll be talking about population, employment, and housing allocations, and we'll also be talking about the land capacity analysis methodology. We hope to bring all of those things to you in the next 6 or so months. So just kind of a heads up, those things are on the way in the not too distant future.
Okay, thank you. So
Chair?
now- Yes. go
I
ahead.
just noticed that Frank James is in the non-panelist category. So I don't know if someone can promote him to be a panelist. Are you seeing that? Is somebody seeing that?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much. Happy to join everybody.
Good evening, Commissioner James. And can you add him to the
Yeah.
attendance there? Thank you.
And then just note what time.
So now is open session. Oh, Commissioner Hanson, go ahead. Yes, yes, yes.
I'm sorry if I didn't hear things correctly because my connection isn't very good. But besides the public participation plan and the population projections, what else might we be seeing about from the comp plan as far as products in the next 6 months?
So one, you got the public participation plan. The other one is population, employment, and housing targets and allocations. So what those are and where they might go. And then the third thing was the land capacity analysis methodology.
Ah, okay. So we're still just talking about the methodology, not about any projections about land capacity analysis.
After that methodology is developed, then the cities and the county will go and do that analysis, and then we'll be able to look at the results of that.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Masseri?
Yeah, I'm forgetting the exact term for it, but how does that compare to the one that we reviewed last year that was in preparation for all this?
Yeah, so we did, was it last year or the year before? With the buildable lands or
Buildable lands, I think it was last year.
Yeah, so the buildable lands, that's really looking back. Buildable lands is looking back and seeing how we have, how growth has compared to what we planned in the comp plan. So we're taking what the comp plan planned to have, where that growth was supposed to be and what type of growth it was supposed to be. And we're comparing that and saying, did we get that? Did we get that right? And are there changes that we need to make? Some cities made some changes. The county also made some changes to some of our zoning. We call those reasonable measures. And those are hopefully to kind of recess so that we achieve those goals that we had expressed in the comp plan. And so the difference with this is now we're looking more at what we have, right? And this is going to get a little more detailed than that analysis. That was looking back and seeing how did we do? Now we're kind of looking, what do we have and what's available? And there was some of that was done through that buildable lands report, but we're taking kind of a fresh look at it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of. I thought, so how much of that buildable land is gonna influence some of the decisions into the comp plan?
So I think what that tells us, and so different people have a little bit different takes on this, right? Because it's gonna be good information that's gonna tell us the things we planned for last time, how successful were they, and where are we seeing growth, what types of growth, what's to some degree what the market's doing, but the market changes so fast, it's hard to use a comp plan for market factors, that's kind of its own thing. But I think it will tell us how we plan, what happened over that time frame, what kind of adjustments might we want to make in that to see the type of results we want in the future. So
I think so.
and I think it's a little more complicated than that. I've like really pared that down. So I think we could talk about that for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's good enough for me now.
Commissioner Hanson? Your hand's up.
Yes, thanks. In terms of the land capacity analysis, to what degree are we already committed to a distribution of additional population between the cities and the county?
I'm not sure if I understand your question. How much are we committed to?
Well, I heard previously there was a plan that there's a certain percentage of growth is supposed to go to the unincorporated areas, and a certain amount of growth is supposed to go to the cities. And I heard a 60-40 figure thrown around, and I'm just wondering if that's set in stone, or if we're going to be revisiting this as a fluid opportunity to redirect population.
Yes. So that stuff is set in our current comp plan, and that's what is we've projected and planned for. But that's what this is we're gonna be talking about with there's that land capacity analysis telling us where we have available land, how much we have. And then we're gonna be looking at those population, employment, housing allocations. So what we think we need to plan for. And then where does that all go, right? And so I've got we're talking about that in the simplest form. Like I say, when we get into it, it's gonna be a little more complicated than that, but does that help, Commissioner Hanson?
Yes, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Any more questions for Steve Robert? Okay, time open session for public comment, and Eileen, are you going to take that up?
Yes.
Welcome to the meeting. This meeting is being broadcast live. The audio is being recorded and it will be posted to the county website. As noted on our website, members of the public may watch the meeting or join online or by phone. During the open public comment session, speakers may not speak to items that are scheduled on the agenda for a public hearing tonight. We are not doing a public hearing, sorry. If you would like to provide public comment at this time, we will take comments from those in the room first. Please come up to the podium and print your name, your full name on the sign-up sheet. If you are participating remotely and would like to speak, virtually raise your hand. We will get to you shortly. If you're using the internet, press the hand icon to raise your hand. If calling in by phone, press 9 to raise your hand. Does anyone in the room wish to speak?
Thank you, Dave. Yeah. My name is Brian Vanderyacht. We're up on the docket for a couple of weeks. I just wanted to, clarify some things. I'm one of the owners of one of the companies that's involved with this feed mill project. And I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that you got a couple good not iconic, but solid companies in the county that are fourth generation family owned companies. We're not big oil, and there's nothing wrong with those. They fit a good place and are big employees in the county, but we're trying to take a piece of property that's really in a 6-acre piece that's really, if you look at it, it's run down, minimal, it's in an egg zone, and it isn't an egg zone piece, but these podiums don't get along, so if I sound a little shaky, it's not my comfort zone. But what we're trying to do is improve the property, bring product in safer, keeping trucks off the road, bringing it in a rail area that's really non-populated. And we're moving forward with the meeting in a couple of weeks. We've been working with resources and trying to work out some bullet points, and I think we're getting there, and we should get there. And there were some comments how this has happened so fast, and not really. It started back in August and kept getting pushed back and pushed back, but I think we're gonna get there, and I just want, we got a lot of support from the community, and we just hope that we get pushed forward and try and do the right stuff. Thank you for your time. I probably missed half of what I wrote down here, but I'll get over it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Hey guys, I'm Dave Widener. I'm here again about the Sunset property. My daughter asked me if she could subdivide the property. I went down to check and Matt told me no. He gave me that paragraph that says that in 2012, you guys decided no more rural density growth. I told her the easy stuff I take care of right away. The impossible just takes a little while longer. Matt suggested I come to these meetings, and I visited with the Ferndale planner, and we've had a Whatcom County Council member visit about it, and we'll continue those efforts. I've written to SCJ Alliance to get on the list for public comments. 2 weeks ago, I wrote the letter after I left here. I haven't heard word back from them. I'm going to send them a registered letter so that they could acknowledge the fact that I'm trying to have my voice heard. As a postal,
Send that to us.
okay. As a postal employee, I deliver parcels on lots of 5-acre properties that are exactly what you guys talk about, 90% of them. Well forested, a little tiny road going through it with a couple of houses. Our property on Sunset is not like that. It's clear, it's flat, there's no trees on it. When the state of Washington said they're gonna work on that freeway overpass because there's gonna be increased traffic, it's gonna be on our road. Graveline, Sunset, Northwest. So right across the street, there's 8 1-acre properties. We're gonna have the traffic on our road, but we won't enjoy any of the benefits. We'd like to be able to subdivide it. We could put a low-income duplex on it. We could do something with energy. We could do a lot of things, but we can't subdivide it right now. When I was reviewing this stuff, I looked at 2012 to kind of see what was going on there, if there was anything else silly going on. And I found something interesting. I got to bring this up. At the time in 2012, Taylor Swift, her most popular song was on the radio. We're never, ever, ever going to get back together again. Well, I think that found its way into this rule. And how I see it is, we're never, ever, ever going to be able to build
30 seconds.
on our 5 property again. I sure feel that way. And when Steve is talking about changing things around a little bit, this is a perfect example. What the rule says is they developed it with respect to the property nearby. Right across the street, that far away, is 1-acre property. So we don't fit that mold, and it's not spot zoning, which I think is what you guys' job really is spot zoning to some degree. So that's it, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Anyone joining in virtually wish to speak, please raise your hand on the icon. No one else wishes to speak at this time?
Thank you. So now it's time for commissioner comments. Commissioner Desmani.
So I have 3 things. One is I had a very enjoyable educational visit to the proposed Vander, oh, I'm forgetting. I keep saying Vanderhoek. Forgive me. But it's what's the name again, sir?
Marriott.
Vanderyacht. I don't know why I keep saying Vanderhawk. Forgive me. I spent a lot of time at that digester in a former life. And I keep apologize. I'm so near the Vanderyacht site near Nugent's Corner. I went there with Eddie Yuri. It was very educational. I enjoyed the visit and very much had a good feeling about the project. That's one thing. So at that visit, I met with their project proponents from Vanderyacht, and again Eddie Yuri. Earlier today, I believe it was, or I sent an email to Steve Roberge, Eddie Yuri, and Jim Hansen, just explaining some ideas for very minor modifications to the code amendments. And I'm sure they're digesting that, and if, Steve, you'll incorporate that as you see fit, right? Yeah. And then the third thing, what was the third thing? Well, I mean, those are the two most important things. If I think of it, Chair, I'll mention it later. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to approval of minutes from the January 26th meeting. Commissioner Masseri.
Yeah, I noticed two things. In looking at the rail call votes, it looks like Commissioner Jackson and Jefferson were listed on the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. I don't believe they were in attendance at the meeting. And then I noticed that the parentheses in the roll call votes do show the correct ayes and nays and abstain, but where it's listed out as ayes and then the names, it shows everybody as ayes. Doesn't have nays or abstains listed there, so it doesn't make it. It's a little confusing when you read it. Looks like everyone voted ayes, but then the ayes and nays number comes out differently.
Do we have the correction? Just a moment. Do you have a question?
No, I had a change on the minutes.
Okay. We'll get to that in a minute. I appreciate that. Do we have the correct number to give Darlene to write in? Or can you pull those up?
I have them.
Okay.
I have them twice.
Okay. You want to read them back to us? Just so we can approve them tonight.
Oh, yes. The revised.
Yeah.
Mosseri suggests the roll calls for who is present. Present last meeting, Kelvin Barton, Daniel Dahlquist, Atul Deshmani, Jim Henson, Frank James, Dominic Mosseri, Scott Van Dalen. Absent, Julie Jefferson, Stephen Jackson. And on the proposed revision would be the roll calls. Would be Barton, Dahlquist, Deshmani, Hanson, and I will revise it with Jackson and Jefferson. On all three motions that were made.
Is that?
Yeah, and then just you'll do the ayes
And yes.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. And then maybe what we should do is this would be easier. Why don't just resubmit them? Can you just resubmit them at the next meeting? That might be the easiest, so we all get to see it. And this gentleman, he said there was a correction.
Yeah, the second half of my comments didn't make any sense when I read it. What I was asking about in the second half of my comment is that the contract with SCJ Alliance, it says that they will review the draft Whatcom County land capacity analysis report. And I asked if there is an existing land capacity analysis report. But Steve said tonight that that is still gonna be developed, is the way I understood what he said. So after it's developed, then SCJ will review that document, is how I take what Steve said.
Was that in your public comment?
Yes, the second half of my public comment doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so, so we said, we'll look at that the next one and just postpone the approval of those minutes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so next on the agenda is election of officers. So we have chair and vice chair. And I think we usually start with the position of chair, nominations for chair. Commissioner Masseri,
I'll nominate, Commissioner Barton to continue to serve.
thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations for chair?
You're
Any
doing
other-
great, Kelvin.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. And thank you for everybody for your support and got some great people around you. Okay, any other nominations for chair? Okay, let's close the nominations. Nominations for vice chair. Nominations for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Dominic Mosseri.
I'll second that.
Okay, any other nominations for vice chair? Any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, nominations are closed. I think technically we're supposed to have a vote on this, so since there's one each, Eileen, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. For chair, we'll start with that first. Dahlquist,
Aye.
Deshmani,
Aye.
Hanson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
James. James,
Sorry, I had to take my microphone off. Aye. Yes.
Mosseri,
Yeah.
Van Dalen,
Yes.
Barton,
Yes.
passes.
Okay, thank you all.
Now for vice chair, Dahlquist. What do you say? What was that?
Yes.
Deshmani,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mosseri,
Abstain.
Van Dalen,
Yes.
Barton,
Yes.
passes.
Just go on to vote.
Good idea.
Very good. I'm sorry, I'm gonna just, I hope it's humor. You're gonna go home and tell your spouse that we try not to, that they forced it on.
I need to update my LinkedIn, yeah.
All right. So, it's time now for a review of business rules.
We just wanted to take this. I'm so excited.
Yeah, hold on for just a moment. Yeah, quick, go ahead.
I just get really excited about the business rules. It's hard to contain myself. So we just wanted to take this opportunity, it's the annual business meeting, just to kind of walk through the business rules. We don't have changes proposed for your business rules this year. As you recall, last year we did some fairly significant changes to the business rules. And next year we'll be taking a more complete look. We want to, over the course of the next year, look at all of the committees that are here at PBS, look at business rules. Yours is a little different from everybody else. You guys are, you're the planning commission, you're a little special. And so your rules are a little bit different, have to have a few more things in them than the rest of the committees. But we do want to align those where we can and for consistency's sake and just for best practices. And to be honest with you, likely we'll use a lot of what's in your business rules to help shape the other committees. But my point is that we don't have a lot of changes this year. I just want to go through a few things just to make you aware of them. And then next year we may have some additional revisions. But if commissioners have things they want to change, this is the best time to do it. You can make changes to the business rules at any time throughout the year. But like I say, we like to take this time during your business meeting to take care of that if we can. One of the things I do want to point out, I'm just gonna kind of roll through real quick. If anyone doesn't have a copy of the business rules, let us know. We want to get you these. You should have them. They're not super lengthy. But everyone should have a copy of these. And so if you need a copy, please let us know. First, I want to just point out voting. So there are some things that require an affirmative 5 votes, and that's statutorily required. Anything that has to do with comp plan or code requires 5 of the commissioners' votes on it. So if just keep that in mind as we talk about the comp plan and other things. Those things become when everyone doesn't agree, it does take 5 votes for them to move forward.
Commissioner Misery, go ahead.
Yeah, what's official controls?
The zoning code, those kind of things. Does that make sense?
Then what falls under the simple majority now?
Not a lot of things that you do. Business rules. What's that?
You want me to get some examples?
You got some, maybe the open space that we look at. The CIP that we're gonna be talking about probably is not an official control.
Pretty much anything that doesn't involve official control, changing code law does not require a majority of the commission. So if you want to table something, that's not changing a law. So you only need a majority of the people in the room or online.
And,
Does that make sense?
and correct me if I'm wrong, when you come with a proposal to us that if we pass it and it's an official control, we can, before we vote on that document, we can vote to change the verbiage inside the document, and we don't, my understanding, we don't need 5 votes. We need the majority to amend what the staff brought to us. But then we need 5 to send it on to the council.
That's true, yes.
Yeah.
So those internal votes, you don't need the 5, but once you start to move that on.
Yeah, and for all the commissioners, that's why you see us take a lot of votes that are a simple majority. And then when we get done with working, then we have less of those. You need 5 commissioners to pass. So. And anything else there?
Yeah, so I want to talk about agendas and our packets. So right now we are mailing out quite a few agenda packets. We'd like to move towards doing this electronically. We're gonna kind of make this our cutoff. If you do want a hard copy, please let us know. We're happy to provide that to you, but like I say, we're trying to, as much as we can, move towards the electronic side. So after this meeting, if you do want a hard copy, please let us know. Otherwise we'll be sending them electronically. Just a second. Let me just make sure there's nothing else I wanted to point out. I think that was really the things I wanted to talk about. Any other? So that's all I have, unless there are questions, concerns, or someone wants to talk about making changes.
Commissioner Desmani.
Okay, yeah, I have a simple just change regarding 1.2 regular meetings. And there's an A and a B. And what I want to propose that and I'm just going to describe it first before making a formal motion, if that's okay, Chair.
Yeah.
Basically, I want to switch from reverse the A and the B and say something like, in accordance with the priorities of the planning department and county council, planning department shall and planning department staff shall set agendas and schedule meetings for planning commission. And then the B is the planning commission typically meets the second and fourth Thursday, right? That's what we do. So might as well say that, except in August, November, and December. And shall provide for additional meetings by motion. That's the change. Does that make sense to you, Steve, before I propose it as a motion?
I think what you're just adding some clarification, is that where you're going there, Commissioner?
Yeah,
Desmond? Is
because
that-
I mean, like, yeah, because we haven't had many meetings, and I don't want to give people the impression that we meet twice a month when we don't necessarily meet twice a month. If there's nothing on the docket, then we don't meet. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, we certainly, that has been our attempt, to not have you meet if we don't have a full agenda for you.
Yeah,
And,
so I'm just suggesting that maybe the driving factor is staff scheduling the meetings. That's the A, and then the B is just for the clarification.
you guys-
Would you like to state that in the motion, Commissioner Duffman?
Okay, so I'd like to modify 1.2 regular meetings to be A, in accordance with the priorities of the planning commission and the county council, planning department staff shall set agendas and schedule meetings for the planning commission, period. And then B will be the planning commission typically meets the second and fourth Thursday of every month, except in August, November, and December. Semicolon, and shall provide for additional meetings by motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I can second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on it? Commissioner Masseri?
Yeah, so the new, what would be B, the way that you've written it or described it, does that sound to people if they're reading it that we don't meet at all in August, November, December? Because in reality, we generally meet once in those months, right? Or we take August off completely.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to say is the except is that we meet twice a month, except in August, November, and December. So, but I don't know if that's clear.
Yeah, which we potentially meet once a week in those months, though. We don't necessarily take them off.
Right.
Commissioner Masseri, you made an interesting point. Is that something that, just for clarification, people coming on and you look at these rules, do we want to put that we generally meet once a month in those months, or is this adequate?
I think it's easy to add to, if a tool could add that to his.
Sure.
Okay, so you're go ahead and amend your motion, if you'll, Commissioner Desmond.
Okay, so B would be the planning commission meets twice a month on the second and
Yeah,
fourth
twice.
Thursday, except in August, November, and December, where the planning commission meets once a month. And then again, the same semicolon, and shall provide for additional meetings by motion.
And who had our second on that?
I did.
And you're fine with that?
I'm good with that.
All right, any more comments or questions? Eileen, would you call the roll, please?
Dahlquist,
Yes.
Deshmani,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Masseri,
Yes.
Van Dalen,
Yes.
Barton.
Yeah. Are there any other thoughts on the business rules? Any changes? Commissioner Desmani?
I'll wait to see if anybody else has any other changes.
I was gonna bring up compensation, but I don't think that's enough. It still says 0.
I have to say, we've had authorization to double it this year.
Oh, okay, good. That's good.
Commissioner Desmani, go ahead.
So I just want to add a D under vice chairperson, that the vice chairperson must bring donuts to all planning commission meetings.
I wanna go amend my other motion now then.
All right, any other changes? We have a motion to approve the business rules for 2024.
I'll make that motion to approve the business rules as amended for 2024.
I will second.
Commissioner Desmani made the motion. I believe Commissioner Hanson made the second. Is there any discussion?
Is the donut rule part of this or not? That's the question.
I got no second, Frank. You blew your chance.
I'm not seconding. It's a great idea.
Eileen, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Dahlquist,
Yes.
Deshmani,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mosseri,
Yes.
Van Dalen,
Yes.
Barton,
Yeah.
passes.
So next up is review of docket and 2023 achievements.
So let me know when you can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is the docket for this year. I'm just gonna run through it. And talk about each one of the things that are on the docket and its disposition. So starting with you'll see on the I'm just gonna run through what these columns are really quick. They're pretty self-explanatory. On the far left, that's the file number we have assigned to the project, the file name, the applicant, where that came from. Then in the middle there is the description, the location of the proposed docket item. And then on the far right is the status or action that was taken on that item this year. So we start with the 2025 comp plan. We are getting started. The next item, we'll talk a ton more about that over the next little while. The next item on that is on the docket was the zoning code density and lot size amendments. This was a amendment that was done, recommended by the planning commission on 5/11, and the council adopted through, you can see the ordinance number here that they adopted the planning commission recommendation there. And I'm going to go through this quick, so if anyone wants me to like spend some time on talking a little more about what it was, or you don't remember what that item was, stop me, I'm happy to do that, but I'm just kind of gonna breeze through them unless you guys want to talk about any of them a little bit more. The next one here, Whatcom County Code Amendments. This is what we call our annual code scrub. This is where the county, we take those little amendments that we find throughout the years. We're applying the code. We bring those and these are generally small changes that are done to the code. So there was a recommendation done in October and adopted by the council in December via this ordinance. The next item, looking at heavy impact industrial zones within the city of Bellingham UGA. This was one that was added by the council late last year. And that is something that we plan to address through the comp plan and those conversations on zoning. That's looking at some of the heavy industrial that's on the waterfront just outside of the city. So if you may have.
Thank you. Commissioner Desmond, go ahead.
No, I'm just curious, is this connected to the whole shredder thing or is this its own thing?
This is that area, yes.
And so is this a new thing that showed up or is this something that has always been kind of on the docket for the last year?
This was placed late last year. There is an application in, and that application is vested. But this is still on the council put this on the docket anyway, despite.
Thank you.
The next one, allow propane reload storage distribution facilities in the egg zone. With ongoing. You guys know where this is? Cherry Point shoreline access. I don't know if you guys remember, we talked about this in end of July this year. And there was a recommendation from the planning commission for no action after we reviewed all the background stuff was in comp plan. We decided, based upon the request, there was nothing that really needed to be done. Lake Whatcom watershed seasonal closures exemption. This is currently in process. Actually, we're going to be going to council and having a conversation with them about this at the next meeting. There's not a recommendation that has come out of this yet, but we've been working with some of our partners, City of Bellingham and others on this proposal. You'll probably hear more about this in the near future, but it has not come to the planning commission as of yet. Bellingham UGA expansion. This was looking at a particular specific area for expansion in the city of Bellingham, outside of the city of Bellingham. This again is going to be addressed through the comp plan as we look at UGAs and we do those the land capacity analysis, look at population and all those things. This is all those things that will be addressed there. MRL expansion of the mineral resource lands. We're going to have several of these that we've lumped in with the comp plans because when we look at these, we really want to look at them comprehensively because this takes an analysis of that resource, how much we have, where it is. But so we're going to look at all of those, and like I say, we're going to have several of these in that comp plan. Wind energy systems amendment. The Planning Commission made a recommendation in about a year ago, last February on this, and the council adopted that in July. Next, we have another MRL proposal. And again, we've taken all these, has been kind of collected, as you see, from the date of application, 2017. These have been kind of collected for a while, just because of that analysis that needs to be done. And so those will all be addressed through the comp plan. I should also say that the Surface Mining Advisory Committee has in the past looked at these and has some recommendations, I believe, that are forthcoming. Sign regulation update. This was another one that the Planning Commission looked at. I don't know how much you guys remember about this, but also recommended no action. This is one that there were, when this was initially put on the docket, there have been some court cases. Those court cases were subsequently amended through other court cases. And so the changes that we needed to make weren't quite as drastic. And so there was a recommendation, no action on that. There were some minor things in the sign code that we did go and amend through our code scrub. But like I say, they were minor, we pick them up on code scrub. Vacation rental regulations. This is something that I think the Planning Commission may have looked at years ago. I'm not really sure, but as you see, it's got a 2014 date on it. But the council did adopt the first phase of these regulations this year or last year, 2023. Code enforcement amendments, this is something that likely will not come to the planning commission. These are not land use regulations, these are really administrative code. And so that will go directly to the council. Weddings and special events, the planning commission made a recommendation on this in 525. And is still with the council. They've had a considerable conversation about this. It's still actually in the planning and development committee. So they have not adopted that, but they're still having conversations about it. Agricultural strategic plan implementation. This is again one of those things that is going to be addressed through the comp plan. Just looking at that whole plan and how some of those implementing pieces might be done. Then we have another MRL expansion. Again, that will be addressed through that analysis and comp plan. And that was your 2023 docket. You've accomplished quite a bit. We roll back through all the things you did last year. So I would like to say thank you for all the work you've done.
Thank you. Commissioner Jeff Money.
Hey, just occurring looking at what's on the plan for this year. It seems like I really recognize how much we're really going to have to think about land use and planning and having a certain mindset. And I'm wondering how I can be, what I should be kind of refreshing my background on as it relates to these comp plan issues. I mean, you guys have done a good job of providing us resources in the past, but it wouldn't hurt to, for us to have some kind of, for those of us who have trouble remembering what we've learned in the past about the comprehensive plan, its role, and the different pieces, the different subcommittees or advisory groups that the county has, and how those things like the mineral resources advisory group, the ag advisory group, and all those things should inform this process. I guess what I'm saying is I'm feeling like I want to be prepared as much as possible and want your input on how to do that.
Yeah, one of the things, I mean, that you could do, Washington State Department of Commerce puts on a short course, and that's just a comprehensive plan short course. We've had them come and do them here. It's been a while. We had them do an abbreviated one year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It was shortly after I arrived. They have some of those online. That might be something good to review. What that does is they generally walk through a little bit of the legal framework for planning and comp plans. And then they also walk through some of the history on comp plans, just to give you kind of an idea of how they came and what they're all about and how they function in relation to everything else. So that might, if you have a chance, it might be, if you just Google Washington Department of Commerce short course, they'll pop up. I'm happy to send some of those out or a link if anybody wants it, but that might be worth your time to spend a little bit of time watching one of those. Some of them are fairly entertaining.
Could you send that link out?
You bet.
Maybe through our name. Send that, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hanson.
Pardon me if I can't scroll back to look at this, but am I correct that we will be now reviewing proposals to expand the mineral resource lands? Is that correct?
Yes, through the comp plan.
Okay,
So
well, now there's something I don't quite understand about this as far as common sense planning. seems to me common sense planning would be someone, technical people would strategically determine what additional need there is for minerals, various mineral resource lands, and then geologists would determine where the best places, and traffic planners, where the best places are to do that extraction. And then the mineral resources land overlay would be amended based on that, not based on applications by parties who've speculatively purchased property, hoping they can get it changed so they can extract the minerals. And I'm saying this within the context of hundreds of rural residents are very unhappy and protesting extraction on property that's already been appropriately zoned and put in mineral resources. And they should have known that when they bought their property, but in any case, they're very unhappy. So the idea of expanding mineral resources overlay based on property ownership of parties that could benefit from that change, to me, doesn't seem like smart planning.
I think Commissioner Hanson, all those things will take place. I think that is part of the surface mining advisory committees. There's some technical folks on that, as well as the county geologist will be part of that. That is part of their analysis, is where the resource is. So they are looking at the geology and not just where people are proposed to have exemptions.
And do rural residents have a spot on the mineral advisory committee, or is it commercial interests involved in mineral resource extraction that pretty much run the committee?
Right now, we're the surface mining and I have to say it like this because I have to remember what it's called. Sorry, the Surface Mining Advisory Committee, the SMAC for short, hasn't met for quite a while, and they will be having their first meeting, I think, in over a year at the end of this month. Currently, there are 5 members on that committee. I know that at least one of them is a citizen representative. I don't know all of the rest of their backgrounds, but I know at least one of them is a citizen representative.
Oh, we thank you so much, and I hope that the people who are so interested in this out in the county have an opportunity to know about this meeting so that they can participate like they have in our meetings.
Commissioner Masseri.
Yeah, there was a Gantt chart a while back that was sent out that kind of laid out where we were at and where we were going with the comp plan. I thought maybe that'd be helpful to get sent out again. That was a good overview that kind of showed all the kind of moving pieces in it. Remember that one?
Yeah, I would really appreciate that, actually.
We can.
And let's get it on our website too.
We can send that back out.
Yeah.
Which draws us. Sorry, I'm. It's okay. Can I move to the next one, Kelvin?
Yes, yeah.
So 2025 comp plan and the 2025 periodic update, our comp plan. So this, I think, is that Gantt chart you're talking about. I can send this back out. This has been slightly updated from probably the last one you got. Things are continuing to happen. And so some of the dates have moved a little bit just based on reality.
Yeah.
These are all, I'm not gonna go through this, but we'll send it out to you. And I'm happy to talk in more detail as we get deeper into it and we all live through it. Like I said, I do want to point out kind of those next things that we're going to talk about. And we talked about these just a few minutes ago, but we are going to be in the next 6 months. We hope to bring to you that public participation plan. We have the consultants developing that. And that will be in accordance. There are certain requirements that we have under GMA, not only that are participation plan, try to be, very broad, but that we reach out to vulnerable populations and overburdened communities. There, like I say, there are specific requirements now, that we do that and some guidance on how we do it. So that public participation plan will include some of that when it comes to. We also, hope to bring to you this population, employment, and housing, projections and allocations. So the cities and the counties, the city and the county will be getting together and having these conversations, the planners, on the housing, employment. Our consultant will be putting together a report based upon, again, some of the guidance that we received from the state on how to address this. And allocating out to each of the urban growth areas that, are in the county. So as you recall, there's the cities, all the cities have urban growth areas. The county has, Columbia Valley and Cherry Point, and then Birch Bay are the county UGAs that are not assigned to a city also that we'll be talking about. And anyway, so we'll be looking at that stuff, and then some of that stuff can get pretty deep, because as we've talked about before, one of the differences between this comp plan update and last comp plan updates, in the past, we allocated out population. This one, we have to look at not only population, but income levels, and we have to look at income bands. And so we'll be talking about that and how that's gonna work. Also, again, one of the things we'll be talking about in the next 6 months is that land capacity analysis methodology. And so we'll be developing that new methodology. We'll be looking at permanent housing, employment needs. And we'll be updating that methodology. As we talked a little bit before, and I'm not sure if I was, with the billable lands, we had a methodology, but that will change based upon the differences in those, what we're doing now and what we got to do for the billable lands. So those will change a little bit. And then there's also some additional requirements on City of Bellingham. As far as some of their infill, it's going to change how those numbers work. There's a infill bill that passed that requires them to do a lot of work as far as looking at additional capacity within the city, not existing homes. So that's going to change that land capacity analysis from what we did during that billable lands review. Does that make sense? Any questions on that, or? All right, that's really what I had for the comp plan. These are all the things we're going to be doing over the next year and a half. Again, our date right now is June 30th, 2025. That is our statutory deadline. There is a bill right now that's in the.
Let's hold just a second. Commissioner Hanson.
Yes, yeah, Steve, just putting my foot in ahead of time on carrying capacity. I would like to see the environmental carrying capacity be a factor when looking at building densities in rural lands, not just traditional economic demographic considerations.
Okay. Can you tell me more, Commissioner Hanson? I get the idea. I'm just not sure what that looks like.
Well, the idea is that we put a population someplace, we put stressors on the natural habitat, wildlife corridors, the aquifers, toxins from tires and oil into the stormwater, all of these sorts of factors. should be taken into account when you figure out if you want to put people someplace. And we know that cities are most well equipped to deal with all those impacts because they already have some accoutrements at lower density.
Yeah, and so some of that recent legislation, like I was saying with the city of Bellingham, they're, because of their size, they're subject to some of those infill. And it really increases that density within the city and pushes that development there. I think that's kind of getting towards what you're talking about, but I also understand the kind of the bigger idea that I think you're talking about. I think that will be addressed through all the pieces that we're gonna be talking about, maybe not directly like you're talking about, but I think through the totality of everything we're gonna be looking at, I think that will be addressed. One of the big things we have to do during this comp plan update is add a climate chapter that is new. But this will be the first time we're required to add that, so that's gonna be a significant piece. And that will look at greenhouse gas emissions and those kind of things. I hope that gets to what you're speaking of.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the work you guys do.
So, other comments or concerns? That's all on the comprehensive plan, correct?
Yes.
So other comments or concerns, Commissioner? Staff? Okay. Any other new business or unfinished business, Commissioners? All right, let's adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, trying to get it, there it is.